Wildlife has never been busier. Squirrels, chipmunks, different species of birds all prepare for the cold to come. The animals' habits change with the seasons. Why don't ours? Hibernation, the original slow living, is a survival technique. Its purpose is to expel less energy when resources are scarce. As for humans, we can consume as many calories in the cold months as we do in the warm seasons, and stay as productive while the rest of our ecological system pulls an abrupt brake on progress. This may be the cause of why so many people's outlooks change as the sun goes down earlier and earlier each night. Can we just, as a whole, adjust our expectations? How much better might we feel if we temper the expectations we place upon ourselves, the same expectations as those in the active months, but relinquish them during hibernation? A moment to just not expect anything of ourselves at all. The fear of falling behind may remain, but that fear comes only from comparison. Remove the ability to source comparison, and this will no longer be a fear. There's a word I came across recently. It's called hygge. It's spelled Hygge. It's a Danish word, and there's not a direct translation, but it's a blend between minimalism and coziness. A lot of people in the upper regions of Europe practice hygge to help them through hibernation. Part of the way I might practice hygge is by never turning on the overhead lights, only when I need to in times like this, and instead resort to floor lamps. Overhead lights dim the soul. Another aspect of hygge is to have something to look forward to, making pizza.
When you give yourself more free time to do less and have less expectations of yourself, it gives you the opportunity to be more creative. Now, I'm not like a traditional arts and crafts person, I'm not a tinkerer, but with food I am. I made pizza for the first time. I learned how to do it. I made the dough, I watched a few YouTube videos, and this was me producing something that I'd never produced before. Think about the ways that you could be creative, not productive, but creative, to expand and challenge yourself and relax in different ways. Because that's important too, right? We don't need too many external obligations, any external pressures. That's something tremendous that could help us get through this hibernation period.
I received a text message recently asking if I've been keeping busy. No, I haven't been. I've been keeping it slow, purposefully, fighting constantly this false idea that if you aren't moving forward, you're moving backwards. Malarkey. But you know what I did? Out of fearing some sort of judgment, which, again, is not real, I didn't answer truthfully. I didn't want to be judged as lazy or lacking in opportunity. And so what if I was? Are these such things that I care deeply about others speculating about me? And what I ended up writing in response, it wasn't a lie, it was a deflection. For the trees to change color, for them to shed their leaves, they do not have to keep busy. Gravity is the force that takes the tree's change into its own hand. The animals have been keeping busy, but this is only temporary. In their final weeks of their active state, they sprint to prepare before finally letting go of their hustle. So how am I preparing? Do I need to prepare? Maybe during hibernation, that's my time to prepare. Modern luxuries of cars, electricity, and stocked grocery store allows me the opportunity to select my own time to prepare. But the point of preparing is not to be constantly preparing. The act of doing is not to be constantly doing things. These phases, these stages, they're only temporary.
Last year, my aunt gave me this book. It's called Wild Calm. It's a guided journal, and it has this concept in it called forest bathing. And basically what it is this idea that people need to bathe in nature and not bathe in water, but be surrounded by forest, be surrounded by trees and in isolation. And forest bathing developed in the 80s in Japan, and what people noticed is a lot of healing elements that's given them. And what this journal does is it gives you a lot of these writing prompts when you find your place in nature to do your forest bathing, and help document the progress that you're making with your like mental health and holistic health in general. Where I live right now is like an apartment complex. It's not a building, it's just a bunch of like townhouses, and nobody speaks to each other. Everyone's shades are constantly pulled down. It's a nice area, but it's off of a highway. I don't even know if you could hear it from behind me. Even in driving distance, there's no nature. This is the only spot I can come to that's outdoors. So in the winter time, when the sun goes down earlier, I don't know what more I'm going to be able to do, because the part in the world in which I live in doesn't have a lot of nature around me. It's just strip mall after strip mall, highway after highway. What this book says is, even if you can't spend 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day in nature, even if you can make plans to go once a week and spend more time, like let's say an hour, like I make a commitment to go once a week to somewhere half an hour away from here, that is better than nothing. I know a couple winters ago, I went up to the Adirondack Mountains with some friends, and that was during a very cold winter. It snowed so much and I was barely outside. And this is actually during the pandemic too, so you couldn't even go anywhere. And we rented this cabin in the mountains, and it was really a hiking trip. And we summited a Adirondack peak. There's 26 high peaks there, and we summited one of them, and it was just one of the most amazing experiences. And we spent 2 or 3 days mostly outside in the cold. It was cold up there in the mountains in December. But that experience was able to get me through the winter, even though it was just an isolated 2 days. I'm actually gonna work on this journal right now, and if you're motivated to begin journaling, I'm gonna link to a journaling video that I did right here. See you soon.